Welcome to the stage, Kings of Community and Queens of Community. I want to start, I was going to introduce these legends myself, but I would like them to introduce themselves because I want to spin this a little bit differently. Community is a space where you engage with people who you think are like you and you want to connect with. I want you all to tell me who you are and what you're doing, but I also want to know where you were before you were here so that everyone in the room can connect with you and know that it's okay to be you. I don't know what you're doing right now. You might be an accountant or an engineer or whatever you're doing, but you can move on to a new career if you want to. And please take the stage.
I'm James Rowdy, GM. And GM, let's go. And I would say I'm a visionary, vibe master, and culture curator. I'm the co-founder of NFT APAC, which consists of NFT Melb, NFT Sydney, NFT New Zealand, and NFT Gold Coast. And I guess before I got into Web3, and I guess 2017, I was in construction. Yeah, I know, it was horrible. And it was real, negative. I didn't have much fun. I was very passionate. I'm a very passionate individual. And I did love it once upon a time, but spent 14 years in construction, sales, and marketing sort of focus. And then 2020 came. COVID hit. I was stuck inside my apartment. I'm an extrovert, so I hated it. And I looked for other means of revenue. I got into drop shipping, done well at that. And then that led me to Bali. And it was September 20th, 2020, if you know anything about that date. In 2017, September 20th was the first implementation of NFTs on the Ethereum blockchain. And so that date, I went to Bali, I moved there, and I went to a villa party and met these wonderful, beautiful people, and they told me about NFTs. They gave me an invite to Clubhouse, and I remember waking up the next day pretty hungover and going down the rabbit hole. But that's me.
Kia ora everybody, I'm Alison Mackie. I am an executive director at NZ Tech. I run 4 different tech organisations under the Tech Alliance, and one of them is Blockchain New Zealand. Thank you. So my background is not in tech. I actually have a Bachelor of Arts in Anthropology, Classical Studies, Art History, and a Master's in Education. So once upon a time, I was a classics teacher. And then I too fell down the rabbit hole of blockchain, and I started my water company doing smart water metering with a decentralized water ledger. And COVID hit. My manufacturers were in India, so obviously that crumbled. And then I got the job at NZ Tech. So now I talk about blockchain all day, and it's fantastic.
I don't know how to follow up on all of those because those are great intros there. These are real proper community builders here. I'm just a guy that's kind of lucked into this space. I used to wear suits, as you can see. I don't anymore, not as much, but I'm a TradFi guy, capital markets, worked in London and New York. I worked for the ASX, so that 250 million drop was interesting. A lot of people ask me about that, but interesting stuff there. But with regards to all of this, I kind of fell into this space because some VCs that we knew were doing some blockchain stuff. They're doing this thing called play to earn. I had no idea what that was, but they wanted us, because we're technical, to kind of work on it. And I'm like, we know blockchain. We can do this. Google. And then we sounded like we knew what we were doing and stuff. But it's interesting because there's a lot of, and you mentioned at the start, like Web 2 coming into this space or whatever your background is. If you're technical, if you're in operations, if you're from construction, whatever it is, there is a place for you in this space. And that was the beauty of it. So we saw there were these great communities out there, and we're like, well, how do we actually create something that fills in the gaps between, I'm in Sydney, right? And, well, not now, but I'm based in Sydney, and we were seeing that there's these great meetups there. I'm really corny, by the way, so get used to it. Great meetups, and then nothing in between in terms of chatter and conversation. We're like, this is such a great space. How do we connect with people? And we were just chatting 10 to a WhatsApp group, 20 to a WhatsApp group. It was getting crazy because 200 messages later, and I don't like scrolling down that or Telegram, So everyone's in Discord. So we created a Discord, and when it got to 200, people said, do you want to do meetups? And from there, we went down the rabbit hole of building communities reluctantly, but we are so proud of what we've been able to create. So I run a venture studio called Not Centralized, or where the merch and all that kind of stuff, all good with the merch. I should have brought some here, but as part of that, we created this thing called the Oz DeFi Association, and now we're in 5 cities. It's going to be 7. I've been speaking with people from the Gold Coast. They want to make it an 8th city, running monthly events. There is amazing things happening in this space, and I hope that, you know, we shout out enough that people know that in their city there is meetups going on. So that's what it's about for me.
We might not have enough cities. You might have to go international.
I think so. APAC.
Yes.
Come to New Zealand.
Yeah, exactly. New Zealand. There you go.
Rowdy, I'm going to start with you. So this industry at the moment is calling for transparency, authenticity, honesty. How do you build your communities around that?
Yeah, that's a really good question. I guess just implementing all of those, right? If you just be authentic to yourself and who you are as an individual, and not hide anything. I guess in this Web3 space, you have anonymous people and doxed or not doxed sort of people, and I guess that we find that it's really important to be doxed and also just build trust in the community by being myself, but also being very honest, loving, caring, kind, giving back to the community. Our events are more like for the community, by the community, and why we do that is because we understand what the community wants, what they need, and we're very open and welcome to feedback. And I think, just building that honesty, it just builds into that integrity, and I think that's really, really important.
So you would say that's your key to a successful community?
Yeah, I'd say so, yeah.
Alison, I want to know about your keys. Your public keys. Sorry.
Oh.
Sorry about that pun. I would like, and your private keys.
It. That was a good
I'm
pun.
not FTX. Okay, so I wanted to know, you run multiple different communities.
Yes.
You literally run New Zealand tech, it's
a little bit of a joke that because all the other executive directors at NZ Tech, they're in their 50s or in their 60s, and here I am, 29 years old. I started at 27, I think. So the joke is that I'm called Tech Darling. So I also, outside of Blockchain New Zealand, I run IoT Alliance, so that's all smart technologies, smart cities. I run EdTech, so that's every educational technology, as well as location tech, and that's GIS, GPS, autonomous vehicles, drones, aerospace, satellites, all that sort of stuff. So it's one of those weird things of I was at the right place at the right time to get into my job and to be a face of technology in New Zealand because I knew blockchain. All of my communities were incredibly tiny when I started, and I've doubled the membership, doubled the revenue in the year and a half that I've been there. And it's purely because they needed someone who knew blockchain. And right place, right time.
It can't just be right place, right time. You've doubled it. So I want to know your secret. How do you do that?
I think Rowdy loves that I like to joke about my dad. But my dad is a civil engineer, and he's a complete nerd. And back in the 90s, he used to sell web pages. He would go door knocking and be like, hey, there's this thing called the internet. You should get involved with this. Here's I can sell you a web page. And so I've just been absorbed listening to him talking about technology in the civil engineering space, and then he started talking to me about blockchain. And so it is purely an education at home that got me to where I am right now, as well as just being an absolute nerd. And coming from an anthropology background, I'm all about people and community and what's best for humanity itself. And I think technology can really propel us into a better future.
I think that's really interesting how not only do you have a community of like-minded people around you, but you've also got a supportive community at home who support what you do and has from the start. And I think that's really important to surround yourself with people who love you.
Yeah, I have the best parents in the world. Yeah.
Okay, over to you, Mark. I've heard you say that one of your roles is to protect the community. It's a really important time to do that at the moment. How are you going to do that?
It's a very good question. Should have prepared. No, I have. It's times like this when you have scandals like FTX, or if you were here around Celsius, or if you hear around the time the DAO. Rob was on the session before talking about how that crashed and led to the Ethereum fork. Times like that, those chaotic moments, there's always a silver lining to all of this. It clears out the mess, and there is a lot of mess in this space. We've got a lot of lawyers here, maybe in the room. Hands up if you're a lawyer. Okay, they've all left. They've had to go back and do work. So it's okay. But we've had a lot of lawyers in here because people have wondered, why are they here? And it's because whether you're in the NFT space or DAOs or tokens and things like that, in many ways there has been a massive misconception that this space is not regulated, and because it is not regulated, we are going to just do a free-for-all Wild West kind of thing. And I totally get the libertarian stance around oppressive governments. Australia isn't as oppressive. I don't know. I wasn't here during the whole Victoria lockdown. That's another thing. But in many ways, people have likened and come into this space because of those kind of views. Now, the thing is, we act in this space with things that look, act, quack like financial products. And unless we help each other understand that you shouldn't act in a certain way, people are going to get affected. We saw something in the news today with another group that ASIC has gone down and sued. They're doing it for people that are in this space, so we have to keep an eye out. One way to protect it is that we also have a lot of negative news that comes out there because of FTX and the drama and the saga. What we've got to remember, and you'll hear this many a time from political commentators, people that are talking in the media, it was not a blockchain problem. It was people, processes, and procedures that failed. And we need to keep on shouting that out. But the problem is that you can't just keep saying that. It's like people are going to want to see stuff. They're too lazy to go below the surface level of the iceberg. So apart from like showcasing that what blockchain tech is all about, the automation, the transparency, the ability to have composable infrastructure, and you can just plug and play and really create something much faster than in the traditional space. Apart from doing that, we need actions as well. We need to see these real world projects. So it's great to see, you wonder, why is Visa here? Well, it's about payments. Why are the sports guys here? Music. All of these things coming together and having lawyers and having regulators, that they are always floating around in rooms like this. So you might be talking to someone, you don't realize they're actually at ASIC or something. Having all of these people in a room like this, having a great, very mixed and nuanced conversation is how we move forward. But apart from this, what we need to do after this is actually take actions. Like, I'm very proud to, that we'll be announcing something with Stone and Chalk, if you guys know that co-working space, because we love the meetups, but we're like, when we go back to our WeWork or other co-working space, we don't work with other Web3 people. So we need to have these actions that where we are working together, having the same conversation, building something stronger together, and talking to others about what are the good things about the space. So if you're going to take away something from this, how do we protect the space? We go to meetups, we talk to more people, we talk about the good things about blockchain tech, and we actually showcase and deliver stuff. So it's all about those actions.
Legendary, especially at the moment. It's really hard to get out the good news stories. I've been scanning Twitter and stuff for a while, just going, please, dear God, give me something.
SBF just needs to stop tweeting, basically.
Yeah, well, there's a few people that should stop to writing as well. So I had a chat with Danielle, so she's a community builder in Brisbane. I asked her what are one of her pain points, or a couple of her pain points. So this, I stole it. There's so many different diverse cohorts in a community. There's beginners, there's people who have come because they're OGs. How do you, this is to all of you, please answer individually, not as a choir. How do you all manage and service all of those different people successfully, where they get value out of it?
I guess I could start first. So I think my role is very corporate. So I deal with the major corporates like PwC, Deloitte, Google, Microsoft, as well as every government agency in New Zealand, as well as ministers, the Prime Minister. It's very hard for me to personally balance the actual industry of community itself, the individuals like the developers and the creatives. And so I believe in collaboration, which is why I work really closely with Rowdy. I work really closely with Harry Satoshi, who is the founder and CEO of Cryptocurrency NZ, and he runs all of the meetups in New Zealand. And that is it. It's about collaboration. I know I've got the corporate side of things, so I can talk to government, talk about regulation and all that sort of stuff. I know that people like Rowdy have got the community itself. So it's kind of that balance aspect for me.
Yeah, I think for me, or for us, speaking on behalf of NFT FI, I think for us it's being consistent and, investing in your community that invests in you. So, hosting, communication's key in any part of life, whether it be relationships, whatever it may be, communication's key, right? So checking in with people. At the end of the day, we're all human beings. So sending them a message, hey, haven't seen you at the meetup this month or whatever it may be. Just, you've been a bit quiet on socials. How are you? And dive a bit deeper and just sort of, see how people are doing. Bear markets are tough, right? A lot of people came into the space, I guess, at the peak of the bull. And then, I've seen a lot of friends leave the space, which is pretty heartbreaking. But again, yeah, it's just more like checking up on them. Hey, like, what are the challenges you're facing? And again, just keeping that communication clear. And then just like having a chat with people, just being there, showing up. So I think that's really important for us. And that's why we do these events monthly throughout, Asia Pacific. It's just to, check in on the communities, but also to cross-pollinate those communities. Make sure that, the Kiwis are talking with the Aussies, vice versa. I think, yeah, again, communication's key.
I think that also links into being authentic as well.
I love how you assume that we're all doing it well. I think there's two doing it well. I'm still learning.
I don't want the blind leading the blind.
Everyone in the room except the L-plater over here is still kind of learning, because I've only been in this space a year, but I have run data associations. So, just seeing what they were like to run a meetup and just getting people together. I think coming from that data analytics, data science kind of background in finance, what I've found was really interesting just career-wise is that when you talk to the board, the executive managers versus like the people actually doing the work, you almost have to be a translator. And I think that having the hat that I wear, I'm the generalist in the room. Like, I'll do a bit of code, I'll get into a bit of community building, because it's like, I just like to get stuff done. I can swear, right? So get shit done, right? So
no, you have to leave now.
Oh, okay, sorry. See you later. But I like to be doing things and just try things out. And I think the panel, if you hear in the session before, you learn more rather than theoretical. It's just putting your hands and getting them dirty, and you'll make mistakes and stuff like that. But by doing that and getting involved in your community, we are just very lucky. This is not a one-man, two-man, three people, all the diverse range of folks that we've got. This is a whole community effort. So when I look at like successful communities like what you guys have, it's because of all the people in the space that have that concerted effort to want to do better. And yes, we have people that put their hands up and put in more time. I mean, I live by the philosophy of I fear that I'm never doing enough in the space. And that's kind of helping drive me. And so I'll have those mental issues, my devils, I will deal with that. That's fine. But I think the greatest thing is that right now we are not alone in building communities. We've got our friends in Queensland here and others around. We've got this community. Like, this session is all about what this conference is all about right now. Like, we are right here building community. And if this is your first time here, look out for more of these events and stuff. We've been very lucky to partner with other associations to create a Web3 calendar, right, that has all of the events that we know of going on around Australia. And so that is the first step of like getting involved. And I know they can right now find that calendar. It's not listed on our website properly, and it will change. But on the Oz DeFi website, Oz DeFi Twitter, I nearly rugged there. AUS DeFi is listed there on the link tree, and that is something we created with all things blockchain, and everyone else is contributing to that. This Web3 calendar on Notion. But going back to the question, because I've veered too far left, I think that what's really important right now is that we get together and really understand like what it is that we want out of community, what we can contribute ourselves, and the only way that all of us are going to be successful at doing that is by having people like you in the room here and talking to you guys and checking in and making sure that everyone's okay, and then talking to all the other people that are new in the space. So was that the question? I forgot, sorry.
Oh, me too. I wanted to ask the crowd a question. Who here is not from a capital city in Australia?
Just a couple of hands.
Yeah, they're afraid of me because I've been a little bit beefy today. For those who want to create a community that aren't in capital cities, and I know that it's hard out there to build it up, particularly when you need funding and you need food and bev and all those event things. So obviously this is a very successful event. But it is hard, and it does come down to funding and that sort of thing. For anyone who's wanting to build a community in this room, what's your piece of advice?
That was beer and pizza up the front stage.
Is that it?
Upgraded from beer and pizza, but I mean, food and drink definitely helps. But people have asked us, and so it's kind of serendipitous. Get this right. A few weeks ago, I was having a meeting with someone that's from Newcastle, and they said, I want to help start an Oz DeFi type group up in Newcastle. And then later that evening, someone else said the same thing, and they didn't know that they'd both spoken to me about that. That happened here yesterday to do with the Gold Coast. And so I had Danielle talk about, like, let's do something on the Gold Coast. Someone else mentioned the same thing as well. So now I have to do it because that's how the universe works. But I think having a blueprint of how to run these types of events, and they don't have to be physical, right? And they don't have to be 100 people. The first event we did in Melbourne, and on Tuesday we had a pre-party, it was like 100 people there. We started off with like 10. I just came down and I said, hey, I'm in town on the Discord, who wants to catch up? And it grew from there because people just liked and enjoyed the meeting up and what we had to say. When we run our meetups, we like to entertain, so it's a bit of education. It's edutainment, so I think that helps as well. But I think it's just having that kind of blueprint and showing people that you don't have to just be in person, face to face. There can also be the virtual type things as well.
Like a franchise, a Jim's Mowing?
The Jim's Mowing a DeFi? Probably, yeah. Why not? If anyone wants to sign up, I'll have an application form outside.
Good job.
I would say, look, you don't have to be an extravagant event or a meetup. It's just starting a conversation, meeting like-minded individuals that you share a common interest or vision with. I think that's really, really important. So if you do live in a small town, it's like, I don't know, go to the country notice board or whatever it may be, and just go, who's into NFTs? And then you might have your number on there, and they might take it to your wallet address or something like that. No, but it's just like, it doesn't always have to be at a pub or something like that. You can always go for a walk with someone, go for a coffee. It doesn't always have to involve alcohol or food or something like that. And I think that's important too for overall mental health. But yeah, it just starts a conversation, right? So us as human beings, we want a sense of belonging. We want a sense of community. I guess, we've sort of like figured out that we want to belong to something. So I guess, argumentatively, I guess that's why religion was invented, because we want to be a part of something bigger than life, right? So I think the thing is just like starting a conversation, and it might start with like 2 people. I know, like, when we done NFT Melb, it started with 8 people at a coffee shop, and then, it grew rapidly, 20, 30, 60, 80, 200 plus, and then now we've scaled through, Australia and New Zealand. But it's the power of community. You just got to start small, NFT Fest. I mean, these amazing people, they had a vision, and they just started building, and then, people just gravitated towards that shared the same common vision and interests, right? So, and it gets to these scales, and I think that's really, really important. So I think it was just like, just start the conversation if you're wanting to do an event. I think IRL events are extremely important. That's why we do them. And I think that when you do an IRL event, you can feel someone's passion. You can feel, their excitement, their love, all these sorts of, emotions, and you share these experiences with individuals, and it just brings you closer. So IRL over URL,
Has anyone heard of Town of 1770? The crypto, well, I don't know if it's a crypto town anymore, but it was, and I visit there often. I'm constantly looking for sweet blocks of land there. But that started off Gordon Christensen just going around as a real estate agent by himself, getting people to accept crypto as payment. And he got nearly the whole little town to accept crypto. And so people went there to take their holidays. And that's an example of what you're saying. It starts with one or two people in a remote place, and it can be magic.
Can I just say that it's from this, it sounds like community is a people-backed token, really. And if we think about like the value of this, it's all about the people, because we are nothing without all the people in the room that aren't here, that are going to be watching on, the recording later. It's fun.
Proof of community.
Like even in my job, I wouldn't have a job without the people in New Zealand who are interested in blockchain as well. And so for me personally, I always feel like I have to give back. So if I know someone's doing something cool over there, and I know someone's doing something cool over there, I always just link them together. And that's one of my favorite part of my job, is just linking people. Even if it's not like an event, it's still like, I'm a matchmaker, and it makes me really happy.
It is beautiful. How much time do we have left? Are we right on?
1 minute, so I think we'll wrap it up. Yeah, that went really quick.
So fast.
I think we should close on something. That's profesh. Do you have any closing remarks? 30 seconds, and ready, steady, go.
Yeah, be at Village Bell at 4 p.m. for NFT Melb's
Stop
last event of the year. Let's
yourself.
fucking go!
I just want to say that, I've already seen my background. It's in arts, and I was a classics teacher. Blockchain will change your life. I'm an idiot, and I'm now the face of blockchain for New Zealand. What the fuck? Genuinely, what the fuck?
I know. I have those moments too.
I'm also an idiot, but if someone wants to talk to me about blockchain projects they're working on, more than happy we give strategic advice, and it is advice. I'm not going to be like, this is not financial advice. I will give you strategic advice, because we've done that for many a project, so come see me after class. Okay.
Woo, and that's a wrap.
Thank you.
Thank you.